What's up, guys? It's another episode of Off the Post. I'm your host, DJ Red Cap, and we are doing another week of NWSL review.
DJ Red, White, and Blue Cap.
That is true. This is true. It is a very patriotic week since we're a day late, so we're going to still show off this hat because I'm getting my money's worth out of this hat, so you're going to have to deal with it, people. All right, so let's see what everyone's been up to, and then we'll start the show. I just want to see how silent it got. Courtney, what have you been up to lately?
Went to a lot of fireworks this weekend. That was cool. Did a slightly borderline unpatriotic thing of going to watch fireworks from the Canadian border, pretty much. But it was cool because Canada actually, Niagara Falls usually has fireworks on every Friday, but they did a couple of little 5-minute show on Sunday, also. So that was kind of cool. So there was, U.S. did fireworks, and then Canada popped a couple off, and then we went to Buffalo yesterday to watch some more fireworks, which are really cool. So just a lot of fireworks, and not sleeping because somebody wanted to shoot fireworks off for like a half an hour at like midnight last night, which was not like pretty much in the backyard, so that was not great. But other than that, just hanging out, lots of just chilling and relaxing, and I actually didn't soccer at all this weekend, so
No?
that didn't do the soccer thing this weekend, so yeah, just kind of relaxing and watching fireworks.
Jen Hayes, what have you been up to this week?
Well, pretty much trying to avoid fireworks because they freak my little doggy out. She does not like the noise at all, so tried to avoid those as much as possible. And wanted to smack a few people down the street because they kept setting them off, even though it's against the law here. But, yeah, enjoyed a little bit of soccer. Had a pretty decent weekend. No.
That's Spirit fan. What have you been up to lately?
Also lots of fireworks. Work. Canadian fireworks were actually better than American fireworks, so there's that. And Courtney actually lied. She did do the soccer thing. She just did the men's soccer thing on Saturday.
Okay. Well, I mean, I watched all the games. I just didn't go to a game this week, but I watched men's soccer. I watched the NWSL games at some point. I just didn't go to soccer.
Yeah, I just had to slide in there that I think out of all of the panelists, my team is the only one left in the Euros. So.
Well, does it count if you don't have one?
No, your team is out too then. So, on that note, I guess I should change my hat to the Canadian one since Canada showed us up,
Only Niagara Falls though. The ones we saw in Buffalo last night were really good, but on Sunday, yeah, we had dueling fireworks, and the Canada ones actually were a little bit better.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I guess, like I said, we'll keep everything. Try to keep it a little bit patriotic this episode. We'll talk more about fireworks later. No, we won't. So,
will we though?
No, we won't. It'll probably come up randomly. If you want to say anything to us, use the hashtag WoSoTalk. If you'd like to know why Abraham Lincoln, in my opinion, is one of the best 5 rappers of all time, use the hashtag DJ Red to have. So, let's get the episode. Let's get the episode started. And that's the note we're going to start on. So we're going to first talk about Western New York Flash versus Chicago Red Stars. That is Jen Hayes.
That was a really fun game. I mean, if you had only seen the first 10 minutes and then looked at the score, you would have thought, how the hell did that happen? Because even though the Flash won, Chicago came out on fire in those first 10 minutes. They were really putting the pressure on. It certainly didn't help that there were some really dumb turnovers in the midfield by Abby Ertzeg that let the Red Stars into the Flash half. And if that early shot by DaCosta that hit the woodwork, if that goes in, I think it's probably a completely different outcome. But fortunately for the Flash, that didn't. And then once they settled down, because they started the game really frantic, they settled down and started connecting with each other, that's, I think, when the game turned and they started putting the pressure on the Red Stars. And I know Leanne Sanderson is not the most popular player on the panel right now. No names being mentioned. But yeah, I think once she actually got in, like the rest, once she got into the game, she was actually really helpful in controlling the central midfield, which was important because they were a bit outnumbered in there.
Yeah.
And she'd been knocking for a while, so while again some people don't necessarily like Leanna Sanderson, it was good to see her get a goal on her Flash debut. She had been putting in a lot of work up to that point, and yeah, it was a really good cross by Jess McDonald to basically find her almost wide open, and she puts it in.
So would you say Leanne Sanderson had a good game?
Yes, I would say she had a good game. Again, Carl probably won't agree with me, but that's just my opinion, and so we'll move on with that. But second half, while Chicago did have a bit of a spell where they were controlling a bit of the game, it was pretty much almost completely Flash dominated, to the point where before Lynn Williams scored, I'm wondering how the hell is this game still 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
But then she got free, got that latched onto another great cross from Jess McDonald, and side went in, gave the Flash some breathing room, and they pretty much saw the game out from that. And if I were Rory Dames, probably the first thing that I would be saying to the team breaking it down afterwards is the lack of picking up the second balls. The Flash and the Red Stars, if you compare them player for player, Red Stars are giving up about 2 to 3 inches of height per player to the Flash, and that was actually really kind of important because there were a lot of balls being played into the air, and every time one of those balls were played into the air, either on a goal kick from Dalton or Roland, it was almost always a Flash player getting up and winning the header, and then another Flash player using their speed to get to that loose ball first. So that was probably the one thing that helped them keep the pressure on for so long once they got control of the game. So that was one of the things that I found what really stood out for me. And again, aside from a couple of mistakes from some players early on, I really don't think any of the Flash players had a game that's like, why the hell are they out on the field? I thought they all played really well. As far as Chicago, they have a really talented group, but when you're giving up the size and speed to another team, you have to be able to hold on to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't able to do that. They were just getting totally pushed around by the Flash. So I thought they would bounce back and have a better performance overall. A couple of maybe positive things. Dalton had a pretty good game. But yeah, it was pretty fair result, the 2-0. So it was a good game, and glad to see the Flash are still going along and in second place now.
Yep, I guess I'll just add my 2 things, so you pretty much covered everything. Lynn Williams, she's proven to be a solid goal scorer. I mean, it's an amazing season I think she's having, and people need to pay her more attention. Please pay this girl more attention. She can score goals. It seems like a lot of the pickups that the Flash have had, and I've noticed too, seems like everyone they bring in seems like is playing better with the team, like McDonald and even Zerboni, and now I guess Sanderson. Everyone they bring in is doing pretty well, so I guess they know what they're doing a bit right now with just any players they bring in into that system. But overall, they're just a tough team to play right now, and then even time you go up to their place, it's going to be a tough game. And they're just such a good attack team. They're finishing. That's the thing that I guess a lot of was a big issue like earlier on, and once, like I said, they got that going, they're like nearly impossible to beat a lot of the games. So it's a good game. Washington Spirit versus FC Kansas City. We shall go to Courtney.
This is the point of the show where I make a lot of the Kansas City people mad because yet again, like, they're just not. I mean, and this is, I guess, partially the Spirit too, because it takes 2 teams to be boring. But like, the majority of that game was just not entertaining. I think Kansas City actually, I think both teams did fairly well considering they're missing people here and there on both sides, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think that they there's not much to say about it. Like, I think that they did fine. The game wasn't the most entertaining game to watch, but both teams held their own for the majority of the game. And I actually, I think that the 2-0 scoreline for Kansas City was a little bit maybe unfair because I think they did a little bit better than that shows. But yeah, I mean, it was just kind of, it was what it was. It was nice to see that Ortega, when she's gotten to play, has been, you know, a little stick of dynamite and has really done a good job for the Spirit. You know, she missed a lot of the beginning part of the season, but the last couple of games she's been in there, she really has been excellent. Obviously scoring goals, and she's very quick there, especially with someone, you know, Crystal Dunn being gone. Like, she's another fast person who can score goals and is just kind of problematic for defense. And then it was kind of cool to see Tori Huster get a goal because it doesn't, you know, happen so very often, but it was nice for her to kind of get in the middle of it's something you see about Tori Huster. She's always kind of in the middle of things. So it's nice to kind of see her in the middle of the mess in the box and get a head on it and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it was not the best game, but it could have been worse. Like I said, I think 2-0 is, like I said, maybe a little bit unfair. I don't think Kansas City played to where you would think that would be that level. I think the Spirit definitely deserved to win, but you know, not only the second goal was lucky because, again, like, she did a great job with getting the ball in there and getting in the goal. But if you were to look at it, if you didn't watch the game and you were to look at it and be like, oh, they lost 2-0, like, you might think Kansas City didn't really play well, but they didn't play poorly for the most part. It just didn't work out. But they're also having problems scoring.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot this season, and again, obviously they got shut out. So it's hard to think. I think a lot of us said this in the beginning of the year when we saw the number of attacking players you could see. We're kind of like, where is their goals going to come from? And we haven't really seen that. Although I will say that specifically, I thought Timrak had a really good game, which I don't, not that you do usually, but it was just extra noticeable. Looking at Kansas City, I was kind of like, Timrak. Like, I'm looking at you the most this game, and but yeah, like, it was, you know, kind of boring. Sorry, Kansas City folk and Spirit folk, because I'm kind of a play for them too. But we saw a lot of kind of what I think we're going to see from both teams, you know, with the players that they have playing with them now, and then I think both sides will be okay. I think, like I said, Kansas City just needs to score goals. But other than that, especially when Sauerbrunn being gone, people think of her as like the anchor of one of the anchors of the back line, really, and obviously the leader on the team. But they did well in her absence, so I think moving forward, they just need to score goals more.
Nope, I guess I'll make some points real quick. Yeah, it's funny, though, because I guess you've noticed this too, Courtney. Anytime we talk about FC Kansas City games, it just seems like we talk about how boring they are. So that's a common theme, and I think it's like anytime they're in a game, considering they don't score, and a lot of times they have issues even like trying to build up any type of attack, it's always real boring games a lot. Yeah, it's probably pissing off their fans, sorry, but they're always, it seems like they're in a lot of the games that we call the boring games. So that's becoming a real common theme, which isn't good. But it's like you said, they get half chances here or there, or like the very few chances they do get, they just don't score them. And it's once again, like you said, we said earlier, where are the goals going to come from? Like Shea Groom gets like a close to goal, and like if she gets her chance, then it might be a bit different game. But other than that, they can't really, I don't know, they almost have to be like really good at shooting at high percentage, like almost like 90% or something, like, because they know that the rest of the game they're not going to get anything anyway. Most of the time they don't. They usually lose and get shut out. So that's been the whole story. Yeah, it was kind of a very boring game, though, with like even with the Spirit on Spirit, because it takes two teams to be kind of boring. But in the end, the Spirit came out with something out of it. So I guess they really can't complain too much. Seattle Reign versus Boston Breakers. Carl?
No. Portland Sky Blue.
Oh, Portland Sky Blue? Oh,
yeah.
Seattle was the game of the week.
That was the game of the week. Okay, yeah. Portland versus Sky Blue. Yeah, we did flip that.
Yeah. So I don't want to say that I was nervous for Portland because we've seen them play without their national teamers before. But I became nervous for them when I saw how they were playing in the beginning. They were kind of a cluster in the beginning. And not for lack of enthusiasm, because the players came out, they looked pumped, they looked ready, they knew they had to step up. They weren't kind of passes, they just looked a little bit disorganized. Thankfully they figured that out. But yeah, you could definitely tell in the beginning that some crucial players were missing.
Mm-hmm.
All the U.S. players, Christine Sinclair, who has been huge. So I was definitely nervous in the beginning that faded as we went on. So Nadia Nadim, I've been picking on her all season. Like literally every game all season, I've been picking on Nadia Nadim for something. So I actually have to give her a little bit of praise here. I think Portland had like 13 shots on goal or something, and Nadim had like 7 of them. So that was huge. The fact that Portland, Nadim in particular, could keep putting that amount of pressure on, at some point Sky Blue was just going to crack. And they did.
Yeah.
Kai got that first goal in, which there was a shot taken, and the D-line just couldn't rebound quick enough, and Kai caught it and took advantage of him a little bit there. But I thought Betos had another amazing game. I think she's phenomenal, really underrated. Hayes has a team that agrees.
Mm-hmm.
So, Betos I thought was fantastic. And then, again, Nadim was great. She had that cross that Brittany's daughter just got her head on and knocked it right into the goal, which was great. And, what is that screeching? Okay. Anyway, so...
It's the ghost.
That dang ghost at your house.
I swear. Why do they always act up when I'm talking about Portland? Every week when I talk about Portland.
It makes sense. Yeah.
I apparently have a Portland Thorns fan ghost down here.
Right on.
So anyway, yeah, Nadim also took that penalty after Rosso tried to take a shot on goal and got tripped up from behind. Nadim took the penalty, shot it into the left side of the net. I mean, there was no doubt that was going in. That was just a beautifully placed penalty. So, I mean, it was rough to see in the beginning, just because, like I said, I feel like Portland was kind of a cluster trying to figure things out a bit. I think it's next week that they're going to be losing Haley Rosso too, so that'll be another interesting point in time when we see how they do without her there. But for the most part, I think the scoreline was fair. Sky Blue fought hard. They certainly don't have a lack of talent on Sky Blue either. They were hammering away at Portland's defense the whole game. Portland just had a phenomenal defense. They really did. They had such a great back line. Again, Michelle Betos I thought was great, and they just kept hammering away offensively as well as defensively. And I think, aside from the amount of talent Portland has on their team, they just maybe worked a little bit harder for this one.
Sounds good. Yeah, I feel like now this is really a good time for Sky Blue, like during this, like with a lot of these players leaving, for them to really, as a team, they could come together and do some damage so that, excuse me, that like they could really build and try to make some moves in the standings, hopefully. Like they're going to be one of the teams that has a lot of their players still there, so hopefully it helps them in just building and maybe pushing forward to getting a higher finish this year. That's for Portland. It was going to be interesting to see how they were going to do with so many players missing, but there's just something about Portland where I feel like they just have to coast enough, and they'll still be fine at the end of the season because it's just such good overall good team. So I'm not too worried about Portland as much as other people probably have been. Now our game of the week was the Seattle Reign versus the Boston Breakers. So we'll start with you first, Courtney, on some of your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because I know a lot of people thought that the Breakers were going to get blown out, and they didn't, and that's great. They still didn't score, but I think considering the game they had the week before against the Flash, they actually came back and were pretty decent. I mean, it wasn't necessarily. It wasn't a great performance. They didn't get points or score, but I feel like it probably could have been worse, especially considering that Naho came back like ready to go and on a mission. So, and not only that, but not only Naho came back on a mission, but she really improves the quality of play. I think. Like I know watching Seattle, I personally have been kind of disappointed in the lack of production from like Fishlock and Little throughout the season so far, but I think Naho and Little play really well together, and I think that just her being there really kind of bumped up the team as a whole, which was interesting because I wasn't really sure how that was going to work out, because I know a lot of players, I know she's been in the league before, but I know when a lot of players come over, they tend to have a hard time adjusting. I know she's had been back in Japan for a couple years, so I was kind of wondering how she would readjust, I guess, being back in the NWSL, but seems to be doing just fine. And again, obviously take into account, they are playing Boston, who is, significantly hasn't been performing. I don't want to say weaker team because that sounds mean, but hasn't been performing well. Obviously, all season has been really struggling. So don't take that into consideration also. But
Right.
I think it's kind of a good game, I guess, maybe for her to get back into because she was able to be successful. But overall, I thought it was nice to see her back, and nice to see Seattle looking a little peppier. Again, I still thought Boston held the fort down to a degree. They certainly were more improved than the week before, and didn't seem to, they didn't have a lopsided game, and didn't, they didn't quit mid-game essentially. So it was an improvement. Obviously, still not probably where they want to be at, but considering Seattle is one of the teams that is very affected the least probably from the Olympic roster, Olympic player departures. So it wasn't like you can't really say, oh, Seattle only won 2-0 because they were missing players too, because they're really not. I think Boston held their own pretty well considering.
No, sounds good. Jen Hayes, you have anything you want to add to it?
Well, first I kind of have to correct Carl on something. Portland actually isn't going to be losing Haley Rosso because she's not going to Rio, so she should be there all season.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. I was running through the roster in my head and trying to place which Aussies were leaving and which were not. So.
Yeah, no, it's her and Ellie Brush from the NWSL weren't on the Olympic roster, so they will be there all season. So just wanted to get that out and put your mind at ease a little bit. And now that my dog has stopped barking, I think Boston, even though they didn't score, like you said, Courtney, they were looked so much better. I thought, Jamie Kranich looked completely out of her depth against the Flash. She looked so much better in this game, so much more confident. We saw her coming out again. She had that one-on-one with Kim Little, and she just came out and was like, nope, sorry, not this time. That was really good to see. She is a young goalkeeper, and you worry that a game that bad might shatter her confidence. It didn't look it. She had a really strong game. I don't really have a tremendous amount to add, other than the fact that on the opposite side, I thought that was one of the worst games Kim Little played, which sounds surprising, but her passing just seemed to be just a hair off, and she's normally really good with those passes, but it would just go just a bit wide, just a bit too far, not quite. So, yeah, it was kind of disappointing. I mean, she had Naho there playing really well, kind of covering that up, but yeah, that's not going to happen every week. So maybe it was just a one-time thing. Maybe it was whatever Boston was doing was throwing her off. I don't know, but yeah, that was kind of a little bit of a disappointment. But yeah, Naho's return could not have come at a more necessary time for the Reign. They've been strong defensively. Maybe now is the time. Well, hopefully not. Maybe now, but in a couple of weeks, hopefully they can start scoring some goals and get their offense back on track. So that was a good move, because I think what she gives them, what has been kind of a little bit lacking, is a little bit more speed. I mean, they had Mellis, but she's been injured, and if you look at the rest of the Reign roster, there isn't a lot of speed on there. So I think she gives them that element that teams will have to adjust to. So yeah, I don't really have much else to add other than better game from certain Boston players. Still have work to do. Nice return to form a bit for Seattle, and we'll see if it can continue. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
Yeah, it was definitely a more Seattle-like performance, but Naho's just bringing like this spark, and it'll be amazing to see if she can do it the whole season for them. As for Boston, I mean, I guess the thing I could say is better performance because I thought they were going to get beat where they did, so they shocked me how they played then. I guess it's better, it's weird to say, like, I expected you to lose, but I expect you to lose by worse, because in the end, it's still a loss on the record. But Boston, I mean, I guess the struggles will continue the rest of the season. And as for Seattle, we're going to see if this is one of those games that's a turning point to springboard them, since they'll have most of their players anyway, with Naho, and help them spark on for the rest of the season for a push into the top 4. So, guys, we're going to give our player of the week, and then we'll do our pick'ems. You pick'ems. That's what we'll call that segment now. So, we are going to go with Courtney first. Who did you pick for your player of the week?
I went with Naho just because, and I know I was talking to Jen about it, and she was like, they played Boston. And I know, like, some people put a lot of stock into, like, who they're playing when they pick player of the week. But I think even considering it was her, even though they're playing Boston, like, considering it was her first game back, and she really was she got the brace and really was a huge difference maker for Seattle. I got to give it to her. So I went with Naho.
Jen Hayes, who'd you pick?
I did not go with Naho. I am in the minority of 2 on the panel, along with Carl. I went with Abby Dahlkemper. I've been critical of her. I mean, I think she's been better, but I've often been critical of her just having a game where she would go along and then just have one really bad mistake.
Or like try to knock somebody out and get a yellow card. Sorry,
no,
Abby.
not like that. But giving up a PK at the worst possible time.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, stupid stuff like that. But that was by far her best game ever for the Flash. She was everywhere, pretty much stopping anything that came anywhere near Roland's goal. So, and was really helping push the attack forward. So, the combination of both, I had to go with her because she was incredible for the Flash.
And Giancarlo, who you got?
Like Hayes said, we were the only 2 on the panel this week that did not pick Naho, and I actually also picked a Flash player because, as Courtney said, for me, Naho was great, and I love seeing her get back on the field and get spirited and lift the spirit of the team, but they did play Boston, so I'm waiting for them to play like a top 4, top 5 team before I can really gauge how I feel about truly Naho returning. So I went with Western New York, who really needed that win against Chicago, and thanks to my player of the week, Lynn Williams, they got it. I mean, everyone was involved there. Everyone had a really great game, but Lynn Williams just stood out to me. DJ told everybody in the beginning of the show to pay more attention to her, and I did. So that was my player of the week.
Yeah, I actually was tossed up because I was thinking about choosing Lynn Williams. I've been wanting to choose her a lot of weeks, to be honest. But I went with my little homie just because that's like a nice little comeback for anybody. You come back, you score 2 goals like that. That's kind of cool. So, yeah, my little homie, Naomi, our homie, off the post's homie. So that's who I went with because I thought it was just a cool way to come back to. I mean, anytime you're away and then you come back to the league and make your not really debut but return with 2 goals is kind of sweet. So, guys, let's do our pick'ems. And we're going to start with Western New York Flash versus Seattle Reign. Who you got, Giancarlo?
We're playing in Western New York. I'm gonna go 2-1 Flash.
I wrote it first, and I wrote it in the chat first. I didn't steal it.
Oh, there we go.
I know, feels my pick every week.
No.
Who you
I
got,
before you
Hayes?
even said it.
Who do I have?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if this game was at Rhino Stadium, I would probably go for an easy 3-0 Flash win. But from what I understand, Frontier Field has a smaller pitch than Rhino Stadium, which kind of plays into the hands of the Reign a little bit.
Well,
because
it's a baseball field.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's a smaller field when they convert it to soccer, which plays
Right.
into the hands of the Rain a bit because they're so used to playing on a small field, and the Flash aren't. So I kind of had to take that into consideration, plus the fact that Japan may also be debuting another Japanese signing.
Japan's going to be debuting a Japanese signing.
Yeah, that's funny timing. That I am actually going to go with I really want to go with a draw, but I'm kind of getting myself out of that. I will go with a 1-0 Flash win.
Who you got, Courtney?
I'm going to say 2-1 Flash. I understand. I get what Jen's saying about the smaller field, but I also think that it could be helpful to the Flash too, who have that like super extra speed that I don't know, that might help benefit them in a way too. But yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a fun game. I've never been to a game on a field, so on a baseball field, so that'll be fun. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 2-1 Flash because I think Seattle will score, especially with if Naho is playing well again, and Little and Co can kind of get their stuff together. But I think the Flash have been on fire with the scoring goals so far, and I think they'll get at least 2.
And I want to say something. What might also swing the Flash might swing it in the Flash favor is if you look at Seattle. Like I said, there isn't a lot of speed on their team, and if they do not keep the play in front of them, if they let Lynn Williams or Jess McDonald get an inch of space, they will be gone like that. So I think that'll be the key. If they can do that, it might go Seattle's favor, but I'm not sure if they can for 90 minutes. So that's kind of why I went with a Flash win.
Yeah, I think I'm going with the Flash just because I don't trust Seattle as much anymore, and the Flash are just a team that keeps impressing me each and every week. I feel like it'll be 2-0, because I can see Seattle coming out just playing a little lethargic game, and everyone's going to be like, what's wrong with Seattle? Like, nope, this is the Seattle. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. They're too inconsistent for me. So I'll go with the Flash, 2-0. Next game we are going with is the Spirit versus the Chicago Red Stars. And that Spirit fan will tell us who's going to win, right?
Hopefully.
Mm.
They're playing at the Plex. They need to win. They know they need to win. So they're going to go in with that mentality and knock on wood. Hopefully there's not, like, the usual issue with thunderstorms and, like...
That's Chicago's fault, by the way, because they had a delay against the Flash last week too, because it was Chicago. That's all Chicago's fault.
Yeah, we're not blaming the Spirit for that mess. It's all the Red Stars.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I was in that game that got canceled in Chicago last year. I know. So hopefully there's no weather issues that require anyone on the Spirit crew to bail out some bathrooms. If there are, sorry guys. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna go Spirit here because, like I said, they know they need to win, and they have that warrior mentality when they need to get in there. So I'm gonna throw it out there and go 2-0 Washington.
Nice. Who you got, Hayes?
Again, I don't really want to pick a draw because it does feel like a bit of a cop-out sometimes. I blame you, Courtney, for that.
I haven't picked I picked one draw last week. That was the first draw I picked.
Weren't you the one who kept insisting that picking draws is a cop-out?
No, because I picked draws for the first half of the season.
I kind of been saying that, though. That's probably me.
So I picked a draw almost the whole first half of the season every week.
That was me. I always give people crap for picking draws.
Yeah.
I am going to go 1-0 Spirit only because I don't think they'll be as dominant over Chicago as the Flash were over Chicago. And the only reason I'm going with Spirit is it's at the Plex, and Washington's done pretty well against them. So 1-0.
Way to stress out Jen Hayes. Courtney, who you got?
I also shockingly say 2-0 Spirit.
I think I'm leaning towards what Jen Hayes is saying because, like, I feel like this is going to be a draw, just a 1-1 draw. But it's such a cop out, so it's like if you're going to have to choose one of these sides, and you really can't see Chicago, it sucks because Chicago, I can't see them losing 2 weeks in a row like this. But it's at the Plex, so 1-0 Spirit, that's like a cop out. I feel like this is like feels like a draw this game. But yeah, 1-0 Spirit because if I'm going to choose a winner, I'm going to choose the Spirit or tough team at home. Sky Blue versus Houston Dash. Well, this is easy. I don't trust Houston for anything anymore. Sky Blue, and I'll choose them like 1-0 to win this. Courtney, who you got?
I said 2-0 Sky Blue.
Hayes, who do you got?
1-0 Sky Blue, because that just seems to be Houston's thing, losing 1-0.
And Carl, who do you got?
I actually agree with Hayes. I'm going 1-0 Sky Blue.
This game is perfect.
And hopefully Randy Waldrum gets the sack afterwards.
I already read it on Wikipedia. I don't know what I'm talking about, but
You wrote it on Wikipedia, DJ. What are you talking about?
That's a lie. See, the thing is with this game is Sky Blue doesn't score many goals to begin with, and Houston always loses by 1-0. So I think it's perfect for a 1-0 game. This is actually calling for 1-0. Portland versus FC Kansas City. Who you got, Courtney?
I say 2-0 Portland, just because FC Kansas City is really having a hard time scoring, and like Jen mentioned, like Nadim actually was very aggressive on goal, and you still have the height of Brenda's daughter, so I think they could probably put a couple in against Kansas City, and like I said, they've been having a hard time scoring, so we'll go with 2-0.
Jen Hayes, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 1-0 Portland. I mean, Kansas City can't score worth a damn right now, and it's at Providence. So even though Portland has lost a metric crap ton of players, and they're losing Henri for this one, I still think it'll be enough to carry them over, and I'm gonna go 1-0 Portland. But I hope Kansas City wins big time.
Calling for a miracle. Jen Carl, who you got?
I'm trying to come up with a scoreline that doesn't make me seem like a D-bag to all the Kansas City fans.
Too late.
That qualifying statement kind of already.
That's what I was thinking. You're already done after that, no matter what.
You can't hate me too much. I stood up for him every week in the beginning of the season. It's in Portland. Kansas City's had a lot of trouble. I've been talking about the Portland defense all season. I'm gonna say 3-1 Portland.
That was about right.
That's fair.
Yeah, beat down special. This is beat down special 4-0. The next game. Orlando versus Boston.
I would be surprised if it was 4-0, but you never know.
Yeah.
I just don't. More so, I feel like you can choose 4-0 or 1-0. Either way, I'm going to put it towards Portland because I just can't see FC Kansas City score. You know, that's why I jokingly said 4-0 because I was like, you can just choose anywhere, but they can't score. It's ridiculous how bad it is for FC Kansas City. Orlando versus the Boston Breakers. Courtney, who do you got?
I did, I said 1-1. I said draw last week, and they lost 2-0. I'm gonna stick with the draw. I'm gonna stick with 1-1 draw. I don't know. Once again, I don't think that's gonna be the score, but you never know because they look better. I don't know we haven't got to see what Orlando looks like sans a bunch of players.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think, sort of, but kind of, but not.
Not 100% like now.
Not really, and not with they have a brand new goalkeeper also now, since Bledsoe was hurt out for the season. So, Orlando still has a lot of great players. However, I don't know. I think that Boston's kind of been on the up and up, and I think that, like I said, I realize we have seen Orlando with other players, but maybe not to this extent. Because even when players had first rejoined teams, stuff like that, they had the Australian players and stuff like that, and they're going to be missing Callie and Alloway also. So, like I said, the whole goalkeeper situation. So you never know. We're just going to stick with 1-1 draw because crazier things have happened.
Sounds good. Jen, who do you got? Jen Hayes?
Well, the rumors are going around that the keeper they keep talking about picking up is Didi Herachich. So, probably, don't know. Maybe she plays, don't know. Again, it hasn't been officially confirmed. If she does, I think that'll help settle Orlando's back line down a little bit because she's not terrible. I mean, not a star, but not terrible. But, Orlando's back line has been weakened, but it's Boston.
Right.
And they are doing so well at home, but they're missing all their players. Oh, I don't know what to do.
Why pick the draw? I was like,
I'm going to stick my neck out and say Boston wins this one 2-1.
Okay. That Spirit fan, who you got?
Before we just saw them basically without Alex Morgan and Ashlyn Harris, and they looked really bad.
Yeah.
Even with just them missing, they looked really bad. You could tell they were missing their leaders on the team. You could tell that they just they couldn't find each other. There was no communication.
Yeah.
They looked terrible, and that was with 2 players missing. So yeah, they're playing in Orlando, and they've done very well playing at home. But I think this is the week that maybe it comes back to bite them, that they maybe don't have the same depth as other teams. And Boston has been improving, kind of, sort of.
With that 7-1 accepted.
So, it's Boston's defense has improved, kind of, sort of. They need someone to score a goal. I don't care if it's a defense. Their goalkeeper can score a goal for all I care. Just get the freaking ball in the net.
Is that enough?
Yeah. So this is like probably the most painful game I'm gonna have to pick all season because these are, sorry fans, these are my least 2 favorite teams.
At least she's honest.
Yeah. No. Hey, I'll tell you. So I am going to painfully, because Orlando still has Jasmine Spencer, say 2-1 Boston.
Oh my God! You picked Orlando.
I said Boston.
Oh, you said Boston. Just kidding. I literally listened to you say that and thought you said 2-1. Because you said Jasmine Spencer, and I wait, she's picking Orlando. And then
That's what I was thinking too when she said that. Then it was like you're like she chose Orlando. No,
literally was like
1 goal.
Orlando. Just kidding. I totally missed you. I totally missed you saying Boston. I was like, oh, she said Spencer.
She blacked out.
I had a moment. I did. I sure did. I was like, I turned it off. I was like, oh, she's picking Orlando. She said because they have Spencer and painfully.
Spencer gets the 1 goal for Orlando. That's where Spencer comes in. But I'm going Boston.
No, it's funny though. You guys are.
I feel better now. I was really worried when I thought you were picking Orlando. Like I was really like, oh God, what is happening? Send the doctor.
No, but I mean, it's funny that everyone's feeling like that because I feel the Leafs can kind of steal one too. But I feel like it'll be 1-0. I think it's gonna be like an own goal or something. It's gonna be goofy because I don't trust this Orlando team. Because like you said, Jen and Carl, they looked terrible without 2 players. So I feel like Boston can get this one. This could be the one to steal. 1-0. It's not gonna be a beautiful goal. It's not gonna be the best of goals. They'll get a goal somewhere, like randomly off of some type of error. I think it's gonna be a defensive error that really gets them that goal, and then Boston will get some points this week. But this is I don't know. I don't trust Orlando. I think they're going to be bad for for some time next couple of weeks going on because. Like I said, without a few players, they look better. But I don't know if they're going to have enough depth or talent really to push through when they play against a lot of the other teams in the league. So that's our pick'ems. If you disagree, send a tweet our way to our Twitter or anything, and we'll definitely discuss it with you. Remember, I think one thing we want to say because what is our game of the week, Miss Jen Hayes?
It's Sky Blue versus Houston.
Yes. So we want to thank Cloud9 people because we said they've always been so nice with helping us out, and so this is going to be like our final Sky Blue game of the week. So you guys can definitely check it out next week when we talk about it and when we promote it during the week, and we'll do probably say stuff to Cloud9 and interact with them because they're always fun to talk to about stuff as long as you don't pick against their team. So, guys, this is a pretty good episode of Off the Post. Be sure to check us. Actually, this Saturday we're going to have an episode where we're working with the WWF people, Adam and Patty. You all know them. They're popular WOSO people. Special guests. And we're going to talk about the U.S. Women's National Team a little bit, but then we're going to do our NWSL mid-season review this Saturday with them. So be sure to check out WWF, Adam and Patty. I say it again because I'm name-dropping hard. And we'll see who else joins us with that cast of people because they're fun. They're Courtney people. Courtney, you want to tell the people that might not know about them a little bit because you were on their show.
Yeah, I mean they have a podcast that comes out. I don't know if it's on like a weekly, bi-weekly schedule, monthly schedule. I'm not entirely sure, but if you check them out at WWF show, they have a lot of great guests on, and like they're both really super knowledgeable and just a lot of fun. And like I said, I've never met Patty, but I've had the pleasure of meeting Adam and spending some time with him, and they're both really soccer knowledgeable. And like I said, if you haven't checked out their show, I was on it earlier in the year too, but they have a lot of cool guests and really know what they're talking about. So I'm excited. I don't know, since there's a Flash game, I may or may not be able to pop in for a little while for that show, but it's going to be a fun show because they're really cool people and a lot of fun.
Yeah, so they'll definitely fit on with us because if you're just have a lot of fun and stuff, we usually don't mind that. So that'll be cool. So check out for that this Saturday. Other than that, guys, this is another episode of Off the Post. I'm your host, DJ Red, White, and Blue Cap. We will be catching you guys Saturday and next week, so definitely let's give them a good wave.
Wrap it up, DJ.
I'm pressing that stop button. Stop it.